Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to Lesson 5, Comparing and Ordering Rational Numbers. We are going to start with a number line. So go ahead and draw a number line. And on this number line, we're going to mark a 0 in the middle. And remember, 0 is neither positive nor negative. All the numbers to the right of 0 are positive, so I'm going to place a positive 1 to the right and a negative 1 to the left. All right, now we're going to start graphing rational numbers. And remember, rational numbers include fractions, decimals, and percents. So we're going to add some fractions to this number line. Let's graph 1/2, and that falls right between 0 and 1 on the positive side. And that has an opposite, and the opposite of 1/2 is negative 1/2 on the negative side. Remember, all numbers to the right get greater, and all numbers to the left get smaller or less. Okay, so when we want to make comparisons, when we're looking at rational numbers, thinking about this number line is going to be very helpful. All right, so we've graphed the 1/2s. Let's graph the numbers that fall between 0 and 1/2. On the positive side, we have 1/4. And on the negative side, the opposite of 1/4 is negative 1/4. And I'd like you to graph one more point, and that would be 3/4 on the positive side and negative 3/4 on the negative side. All right, let's take a look at comparing two of these fractions. So number one, I would like you to compare 3/4 and 1/4. So notice they are both positive. The one farthest to the right is greater, and on our number line, 3/4 is to the right, so it's greater. And those are fractions you should know anyway because they're positive and we've worked with positive. All right, let's take a look at number 2. This time we're going to look at negative 3/4 compared to negative 1/4. So now we're on the negative side of 0. If we look on the number line, 3/4 falls farther to the left of negative 1/4. So that's going to make that number less than. Notice the difference in the positive fractions and the negative fractions. They're really opposite because we have to think of the directions on the number line. All right, let's take a look at another one. This time I'm going to give you a negative fraction and a negative decimal. So now we have to recall what negative 25 hundredths actually means as a decimal, or we can change the fraction into a decimal. I prefer to know that negative 0.25 is the same as negative 1/4. So what I'm really comparing is negative 3/4 and negative 1/4, the same as the problem above. So I'm going to put my less than sign in there. So a couple things to remember when you're comparing rational numbers. Number one, first we're going to look at the sign. Positives are always greater than negatives. Okay, so if you have a positive and a negative, you know automatically the positive is going to be greater than the negative. So I'll kind of symbolize that. Positive is always greater than negative. Number two, the second thing you can do is think about where they fall on the number line. So think about the number line. And the third thing you might need to do is make a conversion. So convert from fraction to decimal or decimal to fraction. Whatever would be easier for you, fraction to decimal or decimal to fraction. So I'm just going to draw an arrow back and forth, however you want to do it. And we did fractions and decimals at the beginning of the year. You can look back at your older notes if you forgot how to do that. So let's take a look at a couple more examples. Why don't you write number 4? And number 4, let's compare 8/11 to negative 1/3. Well, if I look back at my notes, all I have to do on this one is look at the sign. 8/11 is positive. Here's a negative, so a positive is always greater than a negative. So that one didn't take any work to it, no converting, just a matter of looking at the sign. All right, let's take a look at another one. Let's see. All right, number 5. I'm going to give you two mixed numbers that are decimals. So negative 12.4 and negative 12.04. If we recall, whoop, that's not what I wanted, negative 12.4 and negative 12.04. If we recall from our earlier work with decimals, since this number goes to the hundredths, the easiest way to compare is to make this one go to the hundredths, so I'm going to add a 0. It doesn't change the value. If I think about a number line, I know 12.04, negative 12.04 would come before negative 12.40. And the number farthest to the left is less, so this one's farther to the left. So negative 12.4 is less. Okay, I'm going to give you one more. This will take a little bit of work, but the kind of things we've already done. So negative 4 and 2/25, that's a negative mixed number, compared to negative 4.12. That's a negative mixed number, but it's in decimal form. So we have a choice. We can either change the fraction into a decimal or the decimal into a fraction. I think I am going to turn my decimal into a fraction. So I know that negative 4 and 12/100ths looks like that. Okay, I can simplify negative 4 and 12/100ths to negative 4. I'm going to divide by 4 and get negative 4 and 3/25. Now I both have them in terms of 25ths, so I can compare negative 4 and 2/25 to negative 4 and 3/25. If I think about a number line, my negative 4 and 2/25 would come first, and then my negative 4 and 3/25. So the one farthest to the left is less, the one farthest to the right is greater. So negative 4 and 2/25 is greater than negative 4 and 3/25. So I can put greater than up here. Again, I could have done a lot of different things. I could have changed my 2/25 into a decimal, knowing that I can change this into hundredths. I get 8 over 100, and that could have been negative 4.08, and I would have compared that to negative 4.12, and this would be greater. So remember, go back to making your conversions, fractions to decimals, decimals to fractions. All right, have a great night.